Chapter 9.10, Surface Area and Volume of Cylinders. Now on the back counter, I have some cylinders. I have both a cylinder with a net inside of it, and I have some actual cans with labels on the back counter. If you want to take them apart or take a look at them, go right ahead. So let's start with surface area. So if I was to create a net of a cylinder, so here's my cylinder, it would look like this. I would have a circle for the top, a congruent circle for the bottom, and then I would have a rectangle that is the distance around. You can kind of see up here with this can label. If I cut the can label and I start to unpeel it, as it comes off, it creates a perfect rectangle. The length of the rectangle is equal to the circumference. So length equals circumference. And we know that the circumference of a circle is found by finding 2 pi r. So let's talk about how we find the surface area of a cylinder at the left. We're going to use 3.14 for pi today. So let's start with the circles. Area of the circle equals pi times r squared. So 3.14 times the radius, which is 3 centimeters, 3 squared, 3.14 times 3 squared is 9. So the area of the circle equals 28.26. We're going to go ahead and round to the nearest tenth. So 28.3 centimeters squared. Now, of course, there are 2 of them, so eventually we'll have to add them together. Now, the area of the rectangle is equal to the base times the height, but in this case, the base or the length is 2 pi r. So 2 times pi times r times the height. So the height is the distance between the 2 circles, between the top and the bottom. In this one here, this is the height, the distance between the top and bottom. So we have 2, I'm going to move this over just a little bit or I'm going to run out of room, equals 2 times 3.14 times the radius, which is 3, times the height, which is 9. So if I multiply all of that together, I get, let's see, 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 9 is 54. So 3.14 times 54. And yes, you should show all of your steps, but for the sake of space, I'm going to use some mental math here. Equals 169.6. Again, I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. So now I need to take the surface area of the top, 28.3, plus the surface area of the bottom, 28.3, plus the surface area of the rectangle, 169.6, and I'm going to get a surface area of 226.2 centimeters squared. So when you're finding surface area of 3-dimensional figures, you need to find the surface area of all of its pieces and then add those pieces together. So let's move on to example 2 and let's talk about volume. How do we find the volume of a can, of this particular can of cheese? So what we're going to do is we're going to find the area of the base, which is the circle. Okay, So volume is going to equal the base times the height. Well, that base is a circle. Area of a circle, we'll come down here. The base equals pi times r squared equals 3.14 times 1.4 squared equals 6.1544. Now I'm going to leave this because this is not the end of my problem. I'm going to leave this with all four of those places behind the decimal. So I'm going to take that number, I'm going to come up here to my volume, 6.1544 times my height, and my height is 6 inches. If I multiply those together, I get 36.9264. So I'm going to round that to the nearest tenth, which is 36.9 inches cubed. And there is the volume of my cylinder. Okay? All right. Again, that's it for examples. Complete your QCs and your CYUs. Be sure to show all of your work. And if you have questions, come and see me.